It is 26 July 1942. Deep in the heart of the Egyptian desert, under a canopy of stars untouched by city light, four men sit in a modified vehicle, idling quietly in the immense darkness. The night air is bitter cold, but the metal beneath them radiates the lingering heat of the day. Ahead lies the German airfield of Sidi Haneish, bristling with Ju-52 transports and Stuka dive bombers. Suddenly, the silence shatters. The driver buries his foot into the accelerator, and the vehicle surges forward over the rocky escarpment, a pair of twin-mounted Vickers K machine guns erupting in a blinding fury of tracer fire. In a matter of minutes, a single unarmored vehicle, seemingly weighed down by an impossible array of jerry cans, ammunition, and weaponry, turns an entire squadron of pristine Luftwaffe aircraft into burning wreckage. This is the heavily modified Willys Jeep, an overloaded marvel of wartime ingenuity that birthed the Special Air Service and altered the nature of desert warfare. The conflict in North Africa presented an utterly unique logistical nightmare. The vast, featureless expanse of the Sahara offered no natural cover, rendering traditional infantry maneuvers impossible and turning the theater into a brutal clash of mechanized armor. The British Eighth Army found themselves facing an enemy whose airfields were situated hundreds of miles behind the shifting front. Early attempts to raid these targets relied on standard military lorries, but these were painfully slow, visible to reconnaissance aircraft, and prone to bogging down in the treacherous, powdery sand. To cripple the Axis war machine, the British needed to destroy aircraft on the ground. Yet the challenge seemed insurmountable. A strike force had to traverse unmapped desert, carry enough supplies to survive for weeks, and possess the devastating firepower necessary to obliterate an airfield, all whilst moving fast enough to evade capture. The existing motor pool had nothing capable of surviving such a mandate. The answer emerged from the unorthodox mind of David Sterling and the engineers at the Long Range Desert Group workshops in Cairo. They took the standard Willys MB Jeep, a reliable 4x4 weighing roughly 1,040 kilograms, or 2,293 pounds, and subjected it to a radical transformation. First, they ruthlessly stripped away anything that was not essential. The windscreen, canvas roof, and heavy front bumper were discarded to save weight. In their place, the mechanics bolted on heavy-duty suspension springs and an astonishing amount of lethal cargo. A single desert Jeep carried over 100 liters of extra petrol, massive drums of drinking water, and rations to sustain a crew for a fortnight. The true innovation was the armament. These vehicles were equipped with up to 5 Vickers K machine guns, originally designed for aerial combat. Firing at a blistering rate of 1,200 rounds per minute, the sound of a Vickers K was a terrifying, tearing canvas roar. Each Jeep carried thousands of rounds of ammunition in drum magazines, turning a lightweight utility transport into a fast-moving dreadnought of the dunes. The exact number of vehicles modified remains obscured by the secretive nature of the early SAS, but estimates suggest only a few dozen were built. If you are finding this interesting, a quick subscribe helps more than you know and allows us to keep uncovering these forgotten stories. The true test of this overloaded marvel came in the dead of night across the Libyan desert. Driving in staggered line-abreast formations, these jeeps would materialize out of the deep desert, bypassing German sentries entirely. The psychological impact on Axis forces was devastating. Sentries stationed hundreds of miles from the front line, believing themselves entirely safe, would suddenly find their encampments engulfed in a storm of incendiary rounds. The destruction of aircraft was absolute, as the concentrated fire ignited aviation fuel and detonated bomb stores. While detailed unit diaries were often lost in the chaos, surviving records suggest these mobile columns destroyed more aircraft on the ground than the Royal Air Force managed to shoot down in the skies over North Africa during the same period. When compared to German equivalents, the British approach was distinctly unique. The Afrika Korps possessed the Kubelwagen, a highly capable lightweight transport vehicle, but it was strictly an unarmored personnel carrier, never envisioned as an offensive weapons platform. American forces utilized the standard Jeep extensively, but primarily for liaison duties behind secure lines. The British genius lay in weaponizing the payload capacity, sacrificing all crew protection for sheer offensive output and extreme range. This daring philosophy shifted the entire paradigm of special operations. The material cost to the German war effort was staggering, but the psychological toll was arguably greater. Axis commanders were forced to divert thousands of frontline troops simply to guard rear-echelon airfields against the phantom menace of the desert jeeps. Though the harsh environment claimed many of these heavily burdened vehicles, a few meticulously restored examples can still be viewed today at the Imperial War Museum. It is easy to look at archival photographs of these vehicles and see only an absurd, overloaded mess of steel and canvas. Yet, to understand the Desert Jeep is to understand the absolute necessity of wartime adaptation. Returning to that bitter night at Sidi Haneish, the true value of the machine becomes searingly clear. It was not merely a mode of transport, but a highly specialized instrument of destruction that turned the unforgiving desert from an insurmountable obstacle into an invisible highway. By stripping away conventional military doctrine and embracing the raw offensive potential of an overloaded, unarmored utility car, a handful of men achieved the impossible. They broke the back of Axis air superiority without ever leaving the ground. The overloaded British Jeep remains a testament to the power of human ingenuity pushed to its absolute limits, proving that sometimes the most effective weapon is simply the one they never see coming.